This is the part 2 of the Karate Kid facts and anecdotes. Remember to watch part 1 first, if you have not already done so. You Are the Best. The Karate Kid anthem, You Are the Best, performed by Joe Esposito and written by Bill Conti, is heard in the movie during the All Valley Karate Championships montage. You Are the Best was originally intended for the Rocky III movie, but they eventually went with Eye of the Tiger instead. There is a line, "History repeats itself, try and you'll succeed," in the song. This is obvious reference for the victorious rematch Rocky did against Apollo. Later on, You Are the Best was offered also for the movie Flashdance, but also they did went with another song. Relatives of actors in the movie. Jerry Weintraub, the producer of the movie, had an idea to hire the children of famous people for some supporting roles. For example, Chad McQueen, who played Cobra Kai member Dutch, is actually the son of Hollywood legend Steve McQueen. Frank Avalon Jr., who played Chucky, friend of Freddy, is a son of the singer Frankie Avalon. Elizabeth Shue, who played the school cheerleader Ali with an I, and who became friends with Daniel, was a big part of the movie. Actually, also Elizabeth's brother, Andrew, had also a small part in the movie. Andrew's role was uncredited, but you can see him in the movie at the tournament phase, standing with other Cobra Kai members. Andrew later became famous for one of the regular actors of Melrose Place TV series. Daniel's car. In the movie, Daniel receives yellow car, 1948 Ford Super Deluxe convertible, from Mr. Miyagi as a birthday gift. Car was part of Daniel's karate training, as he practiced some of his wax on, wax off movements with this car. While Ralph was filming the Karate Kid 3 movie, he asked from Columbia Pictures if he could buy this car. Ralph never heard back from them, but then, on the day when Karate Kid 3 movie came out, the car was on a trailer outside of Ralph's house in New York. Columbia Pictures had given the car to Ralph, and he still owns it today. The car only has had a paint job since the movie, and now it's more of the traditional yellow that Ford painted the car back in the day. Who knows, maybe Daniel just performed just too many wax on, wax off movements and it ruined the paint job and car had to be eventually repainted. You can actually see the very same car also in the YouTube's new Cobra Kai series, which is the series that continues the original Karate Kid saga 34 years after the original Karate Kid films. Cobra Kai series is starred by original actors, like Ralph and Billy. So be sure to check the series, if you haven't already seen it. 1948 Ford Super Deluxe was actually selected to the movie, because of the fact that director John Avildsen's father gave his sister similar car, at the end of the war back in the day. Daniel's shoes. Daniel and his mom obviously didn't have too much money to spend. If you watch movie closely, you can see Daniel wearing the same pair of shoes throughout the movie. Maybe it's because they didn't have money to buy an extra set of sneakers, or maybe he just liked the pair he had. The headband. Everyone knows the iconic headband that Daniel receives from Mr. Miyagi just before the wax on wax off scene and wears quite often after that. Actually, the headband was not planned or scripted at all. There were no plans to include any kind of headband in the movie for Daniel. Pat Morita just happened to have the headband as a handkerchief in his pocket, and he just decided to put it on Ralph. The headband pretty much stayed since, and is now iconic part of the Karate Kid saga. The trophy. Do you remember the big trophy that Daniel got from winning the tournament? Ralph actually still have that trophy at home. Production team gave the trophy to Ralph on the last day of shooting. Inscription of the trophy actually says, Ralph Macchio, All Valley Karate Championships, 1983, The Karate Kid. Red leather jacket. Talking about the items actors still have. William Zabka actually still owns the red leather Cobra Kai jacket he wore in the film. Filming locations. The Karate Kid was filmed in the fall of 1983 in Los Angeles, primarily in the San Fernando Valley. Most of the filming locations are still around today. Let's take a quick look to some of them. Daniel's house. Daniel and his mother moved to California in the beginning of the movie. The exterior and outdoor shots of the Daniels and his mom's apartment, or the Garden of Eden, like his mom called it, were from a real apartment complex, called South Seas Apartments. It's located on 19223 Satacoy Street, Reseda, California. Apartment actually looks almost exactly the same even today, only the palm trees from the front have been cut down. Interior shots of the La Russo apartment were filmed on a film studio, which was pretty much built to look what the real apartment looked like. So these interior shots were not filmed at South Seas Apartments. The pool. The pool of the South Seas Apartments was drained and made to look dirty for the filming, maybe to symbolize Daniel's feelings about the California. Actually, it was a nice and functioning pool. The pool still exists. Mr. Miyagi's Workshop. Mr. Miyagi's Workshop was actually located at the South Seas Apartments building's parking lot area, located to the right from the main entrance. Part of the parking area was actually walled off, to make it look like separate workshop. So actually, there is no workshop in real life. Just those parking lots. The chainlink fence near the Miyagi's Workshop is also now gone. This means that the fence where the Halloween fight took place is not there anymore. It has been replaced by wall and surrounding area is full of houses nowadays. So there is no field leading to the fence either. Mr. Miyagi's house. The first location of Mr. Miyagi's house was in Canoga Park, Los Angeles. Exact location of the house was 20,924 Galt Street, which is about 4 kilometers or 2.5 miles west from Daniel's home. Unfortunately, the original Miyagi's house was demolished somewhere between the second and third Karate Kid movie. New houses have been built to this location, so it's hard to recognize the area anymore. Miyagi's yard was quite big, it actually filled the whole area between the Galt Street and the Vaux Street. The portion of the yard, where all his cars were and where the main entrance to the yard in the movie was, faced the Vaux Street. The train tracks, which we can see in the movie, and which Daniel and Miyagi had to cross to enter the yard were fake. They were just put there for the movie. At the time of filming, Mr. Miyagi's house was basically in the middle of an empty area. Also the junkyard outside the yard and Miyagi's garden were built for filming. Because the original house were demolished, and the house was needed for filming the third movie, film crew built identical copy of the house to back lot of Warner Brothers Studios, Burbank. Sadly, also the copy house have been demolished and there is a new building and parking lot in the place of the second Miyagi's house. There is actually third Miyagi house now existing because of the filming of new Cobra Kai series. Daniel's School. The name of Daniel's school is never mentioned in the film, but we can see a sticker inside the locker door of Daniel's locker, which says West Valley High School. West Valley High School in the movie was actually Charles Evans Hughes Junior High School, located at Woodland Hills. Exact address is 5607 Capistrano Avenue. School building and sports fields are still there. Nowadays it's Adult Learning Center. The beach. The beach soccer and fight scenes were filmed at the eastern end of Leo Carrillo Beach in Malibu. About 55 kilometers, or 35 miles from Daniel's apartment. So they had to travel pretty far to get to that beach. The famous scene, where Mr. Miyagi is practicing the crane movement on the beach, was filmed at the western end of Leo Carrillo Beach. The wooden posts, where Mr. Miyagi is practicing the move, are gone now though. Cobra Kai Dojo. Cobra Kai Dojo was located in North Hollywood. Exact address of the dojo was 5223 Lancashire Boulevard, about 22 kilometers or 14 miles from Reseda, where Daniel lived. The office inside the dojo, the Mr. Crease's office, is now gone, it's all empty space from windows to the back nowadays. Karate Tournament. All Valley Karate Tournament was shot at California State University Northridge, in a basketball stadium called the Matador Gymnasium. Place is also known by its nickname, the Matadome. This stadium is not too far away from the Reseda, where Daniel lived. Outdoors training. The scene, where Daniel is practicing the balance, or practicing to stay dry, by standing on a boat, was filmed at Chatsworth Reservoir, located near Canoga Park. The place is still there. Back then, it was full of water, but because of the droughts, it have been completely dry in the near past, though it have been refilled already few times in the past. Also, the scene where Daniel learns to punch in outdoors, was filmed at Chatsworth Reservoir. Stunt doubles. Sometimes actors can't do all the stunts in the movie by themselves, so a little help is sometimes needed. A couple of stunt performers we should mention here are Fumio Demura, famous Japanese karate master. Fumio Demura was Pat Morita's stunt double at the movie. For example, in the fence fighting scene, where Mr. Miyagi beats the Cobra Kai members attacking Daniel, it's Fumio Demura, who performs these moves and jumps over the fence. If you want to learn more about the legendary Mr. Fumio Demura, there is a document called The Real Miyagi made out of him. Darryl Vidal, the semi-finalist who fought against Johnny in All Valley Karate Tournament, was Pat Morita's stunt double during the crane kick on the beach scene. Darryl had a bodysuit to make him look a little heavier, and he also wore a bald wig. Sometimes stunts are needed, as actors really can injure themselves during the filming, which is not good for filming budget. Let's take a look for a few injuries that happened during the filming. Kick to the face. The Halloween fence fight scene was filmed at night. Actually, it was filmed during several nights, as it took quite long to get it right. One night, after multiple takes from different angles, it was something like 4 in the morning and everyone were quite tired. Billy was supposed to fake a front roundhouse kick, but somehow they did not get the distance right, and as a result, he managed to kick Ralph right in the jaw. Ralph was hit pretty hard because of the kick, and apparently got a real bruise from this kick. Because of this, Ralph had to take a couple of days off from the filming. After this happened, they decided to bring in stunt doubles to complete this scene. Broken nose. Ralph Macchio was not the only one who got hurt that night. While doing knee kick to Rob Garrison's, or Cobra Kai's Tommy's face, Pat Morita's stunt double Fumio Demura accidentally slammed his knee right into Rob's nose. Rob's nose got broken, and blood was pouring out. Unfortunately, shot couldn't be used in the movie, as showing real blood was not allowed. Fist to the face. The country club scene, where Daniel spy on Ali dancing with Johnny, and where Ali then hits Johnny with a fist, required many takes. Elizabeth Shue actually hit Billy Zabka every time to the face when they filmed the scene. She just could not get the distance right. Bloody lip. Ralph actually hit Ron Thomas, the actor of Bobby, in the mouth with his forearm during the soccer fight scene. Ralph tried to fake the strike, but managed to make a contact. Ron got a bloody lip, but they kept shooting. Foot to the chest. Darryl Vidal can be seen doing spin kick into a heavier Cobra Kai member during the You're the Best montage. Darryl actually accidentally connected one of the kicks. Guy, who got kicked to the chest, actually showed Darryl the bruise left on his chest from his foot. Fever. While filming the Cobra Kai Dojo scene, where Daniel and Mr. Miyagi visit Cobra Kai Dojo, Martin Kove actually had a fever of 39 degrees Celsius or 102 degrees Fahrenheit. Filming of the scene took days, but despite the fever, Mr. Kove was able to perform perfectly. Real Karate Tournament. All Valley Karate Tournament scenes at the end of the movie were actually filmed inside a real karate tournament. Film crew needed hundreds of people as extras to make the tournament more realistic, so they staged actual tournament to get enough spectators and competitors. A couple hundred competitors actually participated to the real tournament. Get him a body bag. While we are talking about the tournament, we can talk about the Cobra Kai's Tommy's famous line. Get him a body bag line was not actually recorded during the filming of the karate tournament. Rob Garrison actually recorded this line about 2 months after the filming. John Avildsen said to Rob that he needed a couple of seconds of something for the scene, and this was the first thing Rob came up with. The crane kick. One thing everyone remembers from the movie is the iconic crane kick. How they did get the idea. It was writer Robert Mark Kamen, who invented the idea of the crane kick we can see at the end. Basic idea was, that because Daniel's leg was injured, he would raise his hands up, stand on one leg, jump, kick, and land on that same leg, to kind of protect his injured leg. Kick was then presented to Darryl Vidal, by John Avildsen and Pat Johnson, and they told to Darryl that they wanted this kick to have some moves. After practicing the kick for a while, it was clear that wasn't going to work, so Darryl had to develop the move further, and convince, that landing to the same leg after the kick was not going to work. So he changed the kick a little. Darryl also added the arm and hand movements we see in the movie. Move is fairly unrealistic, but then again, like Miyagi says, if do right, no can defense. Who can argue with him? The catching a fly with chopsticks scene. Catching a fly with chopsticks is not definitely easy. One who can do that, can accomplish anything. Back then, in the 80s, they did not have CGI available, so various things were tried to get this scene right. For example, crew tried to put real flies in a refrigerator, just to slow them down, so it would be easier to actually catch them with chopsticks. This didn't work, as when flies warmed up, they did get faster again. They tried to film the scene in backwards, starting with fly on the chopsticks, the releasing it and chasing it from the air. Ralph had to act this backwards, starting with surprised face and then changing to more concentrated face. Idea was to play this in reverse for the movie, but this method didn't work out either. They tried to tie flies to fishing line, and even gluing them to chopsticks, so that just by turning the sticks, they could make it look like they actually got fly from the air. But none of these methods seemed to work either. So how they did get the scene we can see in the movie? The script supervisor, Alvin Greenman, was wearing a black fuzzy sweater while they filmed the scene. The executive producer, R.J. Louie, took a piece of fuzz from the jacket, and they tied it to the end of the thread. With a pole and thread, they made this setup look almost like a real fly, though the flight path of the fly in the scene is not very realistic. Nevertheless, with this setup, and good editing, they were able to catch this fuzzy fly. There is a little goof in this scene. You can see Daniel catching fly with the middle part of the chopsticks, but then, when the camera angle changes, fly is suddenly at the end of the chopsticks. How did it move? Hair color. Chad McQueen, Dutch from the Cobra Kai, had actually naturally brown hair. Director John Avildsen wanted more Aryan look for the Cobra Kai members, so Chad had to get his hair dyed platinum blonde weekly during the filming of the movie. Original idea was, that the Cobra Kai look was supposed to be all white blonde. On the parking lot scene, which is taking place after the tournament, and which starts the second movie, we can see Dutch standing behind the car. In that scene, which was filmed years after the first Karate Kid movie, Chad had again blonde hair, but this time it was not dyed. Instead, Chad just wore a blonde wig, and baseball cap. Halloween costumes. Skeleton costumes of Cobra Kai's were absolutely skin tight. The legend has it, that Chad McQueen, the actor of Dutch, rolled up sock and stuffed it down the costume, just to make things look a little nicer. The legend also has it, that Billy Zabka did not had to do this. Daniel's Halloween costume. At the Halloween party, Daniel mentions, that his costume was made by a friend of his. Obviously this friend was Mr. Miyagi. We can actually see the red shower curtain before this Halloween scene hanging on the background in the scene where Mr. Miyagi prepares Halloween lanterns in his workshop. Halloween dance band. The Karate Kid soundtrack includes the song No Shelter by the Broken Edge. The actual band, Broken Edge, can be seen in the film playing on stage at the Halloween dance. The song they are playing at the dance, Please Answer Me, was most likely never released. No existing recordings of this song have been found. If you do know something about this song, let us know in the comments. Goofs. Every now and then, you can notice some intentional, or unintentional goofs or mistakes in the movies. Most movies have these. Unintentional ones are just small, or sometimes quite big mistakes, that makers of the movie have made. Maybe they just didn't notice them during the filming or editing, or maybe they did not have budget or time to fix them. Maybe some scenes were cut off, and maybe they would have explained some goofs we can see. We have already mentioned a couple of goofs earlier. Here is a couple of more. Ball to the face goof. During the beach scene, where Daniel bounces football with his knees and feet, he manages to bounce the ball straight to the face of his friend Freddy. This was not scripted. You can clearly see Freddy reacting to this hit, as he was not expecting it, but despite this small accident, they managed to continue the scene. This was probably left to the movie intentionally. Soccer fight goof. In the scene, where Daniel tackles Bobby after Bobby tripped him while playing soccer, and while they are rolling on the ground, the players on the background change. In the beginning of the rolling, the guy on the right, for example, wears black shoes and short white socks. After the camera angle is changed a little, guys suddenly have white shoes with long white socks. Black eye goof. On the next day after the Halloween fence fight scene, Johnny can be seen with a black eye. This is little strange, as no one hit him in the eye or the head during the fight the night before. Mr. Miyagi blocked Johnny's punches, and threw him to the ground on his back, and then hit him to the chest area. Nothing was even close of his eye, and still he had a black eye next day. Elbow to the knee goof. This is something that many of you have not noticed, most likely also the film crew missed this. Just before the fight command, in the scene where Johnny grasps Daniel's leg, and strikes Daniel's knee with an elbow during the finals, Daniel actually taps his lower thigh, with his right hand. This was most likely unintentional movement from Ralph, just to remind Billy, that hit here. Somehow this goof ended up to the movie. Look for this move next time you watch the movie. We managed to cover quite a few facts from the movie. Hope you enjoyed these facts. Did you know already all of these, or were there something you didn't know? Let us know in the comments. As always, hit the like button and subscribe, if you want to see more this kind of content. If you have some anecdotes about this movie, feel free to share them.